In the early 1960s, the world was gripped by the tension of the Cold War. Two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, were locked in a relentless struggle for technological, ideological, and military dominance. The archive is open. Subscribe to Cold War Black Files and uncover what history tried to hide. The conflict was defined not by conventional battles, but by the invisible threats that loomed over entire nations. The nuclear age had already transformed the rules of warfare, and the fear of global annihilation shaped policy, strategy, and scientific research. Within this context, American engineers began asking a question that was as terrifying as it was ambitious. What if a weapon could fly non-stop, at supersonic speeds for weeks, over entire continents, delivering nuclear destruction anywhere on Earth? And this question led to the development of one of the most extraordinary and chilling projects in military history, known simply as Project Pluto. Project Pluto was not a missile in the traditional sense. Unlike ballistic missiles, which rely on parabolic arcs to deliver their payloads, this weapon was designed to cruise at low altitudes, propelled by a revolutionary type of engine known as a nuclear ramjet. Its codename, SLAM, stood for Supersonic Low Altitude Missile, reflecting its most striking capability: the ability to fly at speeds exceeding 3 times the speed of sound just above the terrain, effectively evading radar and air defenses. To achieve this, engineers had to overcome challenges that pushed the limits of physics and material science. And the nuclear ramjet used a small nuclear reactor to heat incoming air to extraordinary temperatures, expelling it at high velocity to generate thrust. This approach eliminated the need for conventional fuel, theoretically allowing the missile to remain airborne for indefinite periods. Its endurance was limited only by mechanical reliability and the capabilities of its guidance systems. Testing the engine on the ground confirmed its feasibility. Engineers observed that it could generate tremendous thrust, withstand extreme thermal conditions, and operate continuously for extended periods without mechanical failure. The reactor, designed to sustain a controlled nuclear reaction while in motion, performed reliably in controlled tests. In theory, the missile could cover thousands of miles at supersonic speeds, cruising low enough to avoid early warning systems while carrying multiple nuclear warheads. The combination of speed, altitude, and endurance made it a potential game-changer in strategic warfare. In practical terms, the SLAM missile represented a weapon that could reach targets anywhere on the globe without the need for refueling or stopping, turning the sky itself into a delivery system for nuclear destruction. Yet the characteristics that made Project Pluto technologically remarkable also rendered it morally and strategically dangerous. The nuclear ramjet's exhaust was intensely radioactive, and as the missile traveled across populated areas, it would leave a trail of contamination. Flying the missile from one coast to another would effectively irradiate entire regions, rendering them uninhabitable. Unlike conventional weapons, which target specific locations, the SLAM missile would indiscriminately affect all life along its path. Military planners recognized that deploying such a weapon was almost impossible without creating collateral damage on a catastrophic scale. The missile's design blurred the line between targeted strike and environmental catastrophe, raising profound ethical and strategic questions about the use of technology in warfare. Project Pluto emerged during a time when the Cold War's nuclear arms race was intensifying. Both the United States and the Soviet Union had developed intercontinental ballistic missiles, strategic bombers, and nuclear submarines, all designed to provide second strike capabilities and maintain a balance of terror. SLAM represented a radical extension of this doctrine, but its low-altitude flight and supersonic speeds would make it nearly impossible to intercept, bypassing early warning systems and anti-missile defenses. The missile's endurance allowed it to loiter over enemy territory, introducing uncertainty and fear into strategic planning. By existing, the weapon challenged traditional notions of deterrence and demonstrated how technology could be used to dominate both the battlefield and the geopolitical imagination. Despite its theoretical advantages, the practical limitations of the missile were significant. Navigating a vehicle at supersonic speeds close to the ground required extraordinary precision. Even minor deviations in trajectory could result in catastrophic failure, potentially causing the missile to crash prematurely or stray from its intended targets. Additionally, the radioactive exhaust created a constant hazard not only to enemy populations but also to friendly territory. The engineers and military officials involved realized that the missile's operation posed dangers that could rival the very threat it was designed to counter. This paradox, building a weapon that was too effective to deploy safely, defined Project Pluto's place in military history. The political implications of such a weapon were equally complex. The Soviet Union monitored American nuclear developments closely, and the existence of a missile capable of supersonic, low-altitude nuclear flight would have intensified international tensions. The very knowledge that the United States possessed such a weapon could influence diplomatic negotiations, military planning, and global perceptions of power. Project Pluto served not only as a technological endeavor, but also as a psychological instrument of deterrence. Its potential to strike anywhere in the world introduced a level of uncertainty that could alter the strategic calculus of adversaries. In this sense, SLAM functioned as a tool of intimidation as much as a weapon of war. By the late 1960s, however, the project faced mounting challenges. Technological success did not guarantee strategic practicality. The missile's guidance systems, while advanced, could not entirely mitigate the risks of high-speed, low-altitude flight across vast distances. The radioactive exhaust posed ethical dilemmas, threatening to irradiate civilian populations and friendly territories alike. Cost was another factor. The production and maintenance of such a sophisticated weapon system were extraordinarily expensive, diverting resources from other strategic programs. Faced with these considerations, military planners ultimately concluded that the missile could not be deployed safely or responsibly. The project was officially cancelled, prototypes were dismantled or buried, and the research was archived, hidden away in desert testing grounds. Project Pluto's cancellation did not diminish its significance. The missile remains a symbol of the extreme ambitions of the Cold War era, an example of what engineers could achieve when pushed to the limits of physics and imagination. Its design demonstrated the potential to harness nuclear energy in entirely new ways, combining speed, endurance, and destructive power in a single, continuous system. The project also illustrated the ethical dilemmas inherent in advanced weapons development. The capacity to create does not always imply the responsibility or wisdom to deploy. In many ways, SLAM represents both the ingenuity and the restraint required in the face of technology capable of altering the course of human history. The missile's legacy extends beyond the Cold War. It continues to be studied in military history courses, engineering programs, and discussions of nuclear strategy. Scholars analyze Project Pluto to understand the limits of human innovation, the ethical boundaries of weapons development, and the ways in which technology shapes global politics. The project offers lessons about the balance between capability and consequence, showing that technical feasibility does not always equate to practical or ethical utility. In this respect, SLAM remains a powerful educational tool, illustrating the complex interplay between science, strategy, and morality. The story of Project Pluto also highlights the broader context of nuclear deterrence. During the Cold War, the goal was not necessarily to use nuclear weapons, but to create a balance in which each side feared retaliation enough to avoid initiating conflict. Weapons like SLAM were extreme examples of this philosophy, representing a form of deterrence so powerful that actual use became almost unthinkable. The missile's design exploited the psychological dimensions of warfare, relying on the threat of indiscriminate destruction to influence strategic decision-making. It underscores how innovation in military technology often involves not just engineering skill, but also a deep understanding of human behavior, perception, and risk. The technical achievements of Project Pluto were remarkable. Engineers mastered nuclear propulsion, high-temperature materials, and supersonic aerodynamics in ways that were unprecedented. The nuclear ramjet's design eliminated moving parts, relying on the continuous flow of air through a reactor core, reducing the likelihood of mechanical failure. The missile could theoretically travel vast distances, maintain supersonic speeds, and deliver multiple nuclear warheads to strategically important targets. Each aspect of the design required precise calculations, advanced materials, and rigorous testing. Yet these achievements were always coupled with awareness of the inherent risks. The engineers working on the project understood that a malfunction, however minor, could have catastrophic consequences, not just for the enemy, but for themselves and for the environment. Beyond its technological significance, Project Pluto serves as a cautionary tale about the responsibilities of innovation. The missile illustrates the potential for human ingenuity to create machines that surpass conventional understanding of destruction and endurance. At the same time, it reveals the moral and ethical dimensions of such creations. A weapon that is too powerful to use safely challenges the notion of progress, forcing society to weigh the benefits of technological advancement against the risks it poses. In this sense, Islam embodies the dual nature of innovation, a tool of immense power and a source of profound responsibility. Even decades later, the story of Project Pluto captivates historians, engineers, and strategists. It offers a window into the mindset of the Cold War, a period when nations were willing to explore almost any technological frontier to secure a strategic advantage. It demonstrates how the drive for superiority can lead to breakthroughs that are as awe-inspiring as they are terrifying. And it reminds us that some inventions, no matter how brilliant or feasible, may be too dangerous to bring into practical use. The decision not to deploy SLAM was as important as the decision to build it, reflecting a recognition that restraint is sometimes the wisest course in the face of overwhelming power. Ultimately, Project Pluto is a story of contrasts. It is a tale of extraordinary engineering and equally extraordinary restraint. It is a record of human ingenuity, ambition, and foresight. It is a reflection on the limits of power and the responsibilities that accompany the creation of tools capable of reshaping the world. The missile's nuclear ramjet, its supersonic low-altitude flight, and its theoretical global reach all testify to the capacity of humans to manipulate energy and matter in ways previously thought impossible. Yet the fact that it was never deployed also reminds us that innovation is not merely about what can be done, but about what should be done. The weapon remains a silent testament to the complex ethical, strategic, and technical considerations that define the development of advanced military technology. Project Pluto continues to resonate as an educational subject because it intersects science, history, and ethics. It teaches lessons about the potential consequences of technological advancement and the ways in which global politics shape the development and deployment of military systems. Its story encourages critical thinking about the responsibilities inherent in scientific innovation and the need for foresight when wielding unprecedented power. By examining the missile, students and enthusiasts alike can gain a deeper appreciation for the Cold War era, the nature of nuclear strategy, and the ongoing challenges posed by cutting-edge technology in a world where the stakes are unimaginably high. In the end, Project Pluto represents more than a missile or a military experiment. It embodies a moment in history when the limits of physics, our engineering, and strategy were tested to their extremes. It demonstrates how the pursuit of technological superiority can create possibilities that are both awe-inspiring and frightening. It reminds us that the tools we create to protect ourselves can sometimes pose the greatest danger, and that wisdom, restraint, and ethical reflection are as important as technical skill in shaping the course of human history. The SLAM missile, buried in the desert and never flown, remains a silent lesson in ambition, innovation, and responsibility, a reminder of what humans are capable of and the caution that must accompany such capabilities. Project Pluto stands as a symbol of the Cold War, a testament to the extremes of technological ambition, and a reminder of the ethical questions that accompany the creation of powerful weapons. Its story continues to educate, inspire, and warn future generations about the consequences of pushing the boundaries of science and warfare. It challenges us to consider not just what we can achieve, but the responsibilities that come with the power to change the world on a scale previously unimaginable. By studying its history, we gain insight into the complex interplay between innovation, strategy, and morality, a lesson as relevant today as it was during the height of the Cold War. Declassified but not forgotten. Subscribe for the next revelation.